Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. This recipe is adapted only slightly from Rick Stein's book From Venice to Istanbul. This is an excellent recipe for the camp oven as everything is just thrown in a pot and on the fire for a couple of hours. So I start with prepping the ingredients. I peel and cut about 1.5 kilos of potatoes, and I cut them into wedges and put them in water to stop them discolouring. Then I cut 1 large capsicum or red pepper into slices and I set that aside. Then I slice about 4 tomatoes into thick slices, and then I take a whole bulb of garlic and slice that in half. And I slice a lemon in half as well. Into my beautiful 9-quart camp oven, I place the potatoes and then I sprinkle the capsicums over the top, and lastly I lay the tomato slices all over. I sprinkle the vegetables with a good pinch of salt and then I crack some black pepper on top. I'm using a 2.5 kilo piece of pork shoulder that has been deboned. However, usually I like to use meat with a bone in for slow cooking, and Rick uses a 2.5 kilo leg of lamb with the bone in. It's just that bone in meat tends to have that little bit more flavour. I place the big piece of pork on top of the vegetables. Then I squeeze over the juice of the lemon. Next I drizzle over a few tablespoons of olive oil, well 60 ml according to Rick, which is 1/4 cup. And then next I sprinkle over a tablespoon of oregano leaves. I sprinkle over a tablespoon of sage, which pairs really well with pork. Leave it out if you're using lamb, it's not in Rick's recipe. And then I pour over 200 ml of water. And lastly I tuck the garlic bulbs into the pot. Now put the lid on and onto the fire. If you're cooking this in the oven, it needs to go into a preheated oven temperature of 190 degrees Celsius, which is 370 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 2.5 hours. I'm using heat beads today as they're quick to get going and easier to control. I'm still learning the camp oven. I've learned through research that when simulating an oven, 2/3 of the heat should go on top. So I lay just 1/3 of the beads on the bottom. Then I place the remaining 2/3 of the beads on the lid. And I leave it for about 1.5 hours. After 1.5 hours, I take off the lid. It was definitely hot enough. Even though the top looks burnt, it was only a little bit that we couldn't eat. The rest was actually crackle. I give it a little stir, add a little water, replace the lid, replace the coals and let it do its thing for another hour. So 1 hour later I check again and it's ready for the final ingredient. It smells so good. So the final ingredient is feta cheese. So I crumble about 150 grams of feta cheese over the top. Then I replace the lid and I don't worry about the heat beads on top. I just want to leave it for another 15 minutes. And then it's ready, time to eat. I remove the pork from the pot and then I take out the garlic bulbs. I spoon out the vegetables which have turned into a sauce, and lastly I sprinkle over some fresh parsley. I serve it with some dressed lettuce and some damper that I cooked at the same time. I'll link that recipe for the damper if you'd like to know how. It is super easy. If you cook this in the oven, the vegetables hold together better. Camp oven cooking is a little unpredictable and not as easy to control, but it tasted amazing and it was actually a really beautiful dinner. It was so delicious and so easy with big, bold flavours. If you're looking for more cooking inspiration, be sure to check out Rick Stein's book From Venice to Istanbul. I've made a few of the recipes in the book which were all delicious, and there are beautiful photos from his travels. Once again, thanks very much for tuning in and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Happy cooking!